Greetings and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I'm Jim, your friendly lacuna. I use he, him pronouns, and this is our Invisible Sun campaign, The Edge of Paradox. Invisible Sun is a surreal slice of life game by Monte Cook Games. We are integrating the directed campaign, but most of this happens spontaneously. Let us go around and say hello to everyone, and for them to say who they're playing. Let us start with Djinnaya. Hello.
Hello. My name is Djinnaya. I use she, her pronouns, and I am playing Shah Gamelan, an established gallant of the Order of Makers who cages adversaries, who also uses she, her pronouns. And yeah, that's me and her. You're muted.
I am muted. I cannot speak. Yes, both indeed. And let us move on to Wilde. Hello.
Yes, hi, I am Wilde Engineer, and I am playing Shantano, the itinerant empath order apostate who splinters into fragments. They use they, them pronouns, and they're trying to be less creepy.
You'll get there. I have faith. And now let us move on to Arras. Hello.
Hello, I'm Arras, or Animus Panthera. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing today Aroshka Ruzik, the aromatic empath apostate who converses with everything, who used to be a Vance and doesn't really remember anything about that. She also uses she, her pronouns.
Cool. And Anino.
Hi, my name's Anino. I play Mac, the human Uber for spirits. He is a itinerant enthusiastic of the Order of the Goetica who provides a vessel for spirits. He uses they, them pronouns.
And finally, Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle, and I am playing Vormera Vanast. She is a connected ardent of the Order of Weavers who shepherds minds, and she uses she, her pronouns.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's see. Do we have any memories within us of what happened last time we were here? Well, actually, before we do that, I should probably do the thing. I need to read the thing out. Like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of the players, any of them can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol. And we'll back up and we'll do something else. If something happens that you're okay having in the game, but you don't want a graphic description of it, you can type an N in the Zoom chat, and then we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil. So it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if you're exploring a topic or area of roleplay that's particularly intense for you, but you want to keep going, you can put an O in the chat to let us know you're okay and that we're good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or say or do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. And then everyone else can respond to that and let us know if we're still doing okay. Now, I believe last time you had lunch. And
We caught lunch.
you caught lunch, that's right. There was a deadly combat with a handful of salads and a certain amount of poultry and other birds, and a shark, and you sat down. You prepared your you caught your own lunch, then cooked it around a fire. We since then had a downtime session with Mac, where he learned went into a labyrinth and learned a few things. Went into a maze. It wasn't really a big labyrinth type thing. It was kind of a hedge maze, a silk spun hedge maze, and learned a few things. Possibly made communication with folks. Got a business card, and which actually I have a prop for that I have not integrated yet. The audience being able to see the props, but I am going to show it to you folks. Actually. Maybe I have. Let's see. Yeah. There.
Ooh.
So you have that. You have that business card. And. then he also went and contacted some other spirits, basically, which we shall learn more about presently, as things go on. And that session, of course, is available as a VOD on this channel. So what I would like to know now is that a little time perhaps has passed at least, but where and when do you wish to start? You were at the fair last time. Do you wish to continue at the fair, or do you want to keep moving?
So, I hear there's a party.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just any party.
The party.
Yes,
The
the
party.
party.
2 of us have invitations. 1 person is banned.
Could maybe Shotno could pretend to be someone else?
You know, I could, but it only lasts for so long. And when a party doesn't end,
Well, I mean, we won't stay there forever. Just because the party doesn't end doesn't mean that we can't come and go.
And for
Yes,
all
I
you know, sorry, go ahead.
I can't stay forever. I have work I have to do.
but we'll see if we can find a way in. At the very least, Aroshka, you'll know if you belong, like they said, right?
They said that they thought they knew me but weren't sure. And then they said that if I was meant to be there, I'd be able to get in. And if not, then I wouldn't.
I mean, can we really say that we're true vislae if we can't crash a party?
A party.
That's like a prerequisite for being a vislae.
I mean, you have to be cool enough to crash a party.
Yeah, all the power of the multiple universes, and yet we can't crash a party. That seems wrong.
Well, we could try going in through the front door first, and then if that doesn't work, then we crash the party.
Yep.
This is a solid plan.
Okay.
Excellent. Cool. All right. So, you're all going to head over to the party?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And so this is going to tell us kind of how we're doing as we're taking a stab at it. The party is in the tenement, the House of the Eternal Party, the tenement next to the Broken Mirror. The thing about this party is because it's going on all the time, everyone is fashionably late to it. So there's not really you can go in whenever you like. It can be any time of day. And the party will be happening. I'm imagining this is like a sort of a multi-story tenement that you walk into. It's looks like it's kind of decaying a bit. As you go in, there's this big sort of there's kind of an open courtyard area, and then apartments along on different levels as you go up. I'm imagining sort of like basically every level has kind of a balcony deal, and it goes up to the ceiling where there's this massive chandelier. And it seems to swing back and forth slightly precariously all the time. So as you kind of you're heading up these stairs, there are many stairs, so many stairs to get up to the party, which is going to be close to the top floor. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a card and see where we're landing here. So, our first card of the evening. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. I'm going to click on it so that I can see what it is. And, yes, delightful. So the card, that we have drawn is the Endless Woods.
It's appropriate.
It is so green magic is up, pale magic is down. It is of the Mysteries family, and its meanings are sounds, nature, mysteries, the dark side of the forces of life. And nature plays a role in what's about to happen. Basically. The woods and the wilderness are untamed and unsafe. Travel through them is perilous. We hear things all around us that we cannot see. Trees and undergrowth conceal dangers and perhaps wonders. The Endless Woods is the location card of the Mysteries family, and rightfully so, for it is the very home to the unknown and perhaps the unknowable. And like I said, nature plays a role in what's about to happen in divination here. That can be good or bad, depending on the context. For one about to embark on a journey, this is likely a dire card turn. For someone staying put, the Endless Woods can be protective and even nurturing. The card can also suggest that something is happening that one doesn't yet know about. A mystery just at the edge of hearing, like the whisper of a voice or the rustle of undergrowth. So, as you're coming in and ascending the stairs, it occurs to you that they didn't actually give you directions to the party. They didn't tell you what apartment it is, what apartment number it is. They said it's near the top. They didn't specify.
Can we hear it? Like, I feel like you can hear parties.
I just said, if it's this shitty tenement too, like, the wall's probably pretty thin.
Yeah.
You hear this, as you get a little higher up, you hear this sort of, these sounds echoing from above. And it's a little strange because as you keep heading up, the sounds sort of change. So initially you think you can hear the sounds of, people talking, or not even people talking. You think you hear music kind of thrumming from above. And then it's kind of hard to tell whether you're hearing music or if you're hearing the ocean. And then it's like you're hearing music that is the ocean. As you get further and further up. And it gets louder and louder. To the point that finally you get up to like the 9th floor. And you're pretty sure that's the floor. Because the sounds of this ocean music is drowning everything out. It's hard to hear anything. So it's got to be one of the doors on this floor.
How many doors are on this floor?
There are 9 doors on this floor.
Maybe if we wait for someone to enter or leave, since the party never ends, someone's bound to come by.
Arishka, do you remember anything?
No. But they did say that if I was supposed to be here, I'd be able to get in. So maybe if I just pick a door, it will be the right one.
Try opening all the handles.
Aroshka's gonna start walking around and giving each handle a jiggle and maybe knocking on some doors. Or she's gonna pick one and do that.
So I feel like asking for a roll here that involves existentialism to a certain extent.
I'll have to sign into roll 20.
Being in the right place at the right time. It's a skill, really, that some folks have. That they some are better at it than others.
It's definitely not one of mine.
But who knows? Let's see. I should probably pull up some rules of some kind here so that I can actually... There's by the way, I discovered there's a rules reference document.
Boy.
That's probably going to be very helpful. Let's see. So the challenge of this, I feel like this is going to be... Yeah, where are you supposed to be? I'm kind of feeling a 50-50 here, so I'm going to set it at 5 initially. Is there anything you would like to bring to bear in your venture for this?
Let me see. I'm trying to remember what all of the ways you can add anything.
Let's see. If you want to, if you have a sort of Benny you want to spend, you can do that. You can always use magic. That'll boost things up and possibly net you an extra die if you want to do that.
Well, wait. I speak to objects. This is like a thing that I do.
Yes.
When I touch a creature or an object, I get a sense of something about its nature or past. So it says +1 die. So is that...
It's a magical ability. So yeah, that means you're gonna roll. You can roll 2 dice to try to. But I'm only going to require 1 success here since this is a relatively mundane thing. So you'd need to get a 5 on at least one of the dice.
2d10?
Yeah, you can do that. The second of them will be considered the magic die for purposes of determining flux. Okay.
Well, the doors don't want me to know anything.
So the doors don't want you to know anything. But... kind of as you are doing this, it's like you go to each one, and each one is thrumming so much with this ocean music that it's like, what the hell? And eventually you find one that opens, and what you're looking out on a beach. And you're not entirely sure if this is the right door or not. But it opened for you.
I'm just going to open the door and like look at everyone and sort of be like, there's something.
Is that the party?
There's a beach.
Are there people on the beach?
Are there people on the beach?
Well, if you sort of look in, and immediately just standing back from the doorframe, what you see is just basically beach, ocean. You kind of lean in, you look around. There's some. You think you see some folks a little bit. You see some people. There are some people playing volleyball. There is a kind of a sort of a what would you call it? There's a pier that you see that there seems to be a good deal of activity around. You kind of see lights strung up.
I beckon everyone else to come and look through this door.
Like, if I lean my head in a little bit, is this just, like, from the other side, is this just a door on a beach?
Okay, so you lean in and look around the door frame, and yes, it is it's the frame of a door standing in the middle of a beach. A bit of a ways behind there is sort of a sand dune that comes up.
Okay.
And you can't really see what's behind the sand dune that's behind the door. But you do hear something moving around over there.
Do we hear the music in here too?
Yes. The ocean seems to be making it, as far as you can tell.
Seems like a party to me.
Could I try and wave down someone on the beach, try and get somebody to come over? I don't want to go through the door yet. I just want to try and get somebody to come over and talk to me.
Sure. as you're kind of looking around, I think what I'm going to say happens here is that someone who appears to be, who's like kind of just sort of walking out. You see this guy just sort of walking out, and he's carrying a jacket over his shoulder. It sort of looks like an older gentleman, gray temples. And he sort of glances over in your direction, and he's like, "Good Lord. Arashka, is that you?"
Yes.
My goodness, I haven't seen you in, for a while. It's been a long time. Are you coming to the
Yes.
party?
I was invited, I think.
Ah, very good, very good. Ah, yes, that's right. Isabel knows you, I think. Yes. Well, she would do, wouldn't she? Are you coming in?
Yes. We are coming in to the party. This is the party. We're coming into it.
Excellent.
I'll just slip through the door.
Yeah. So Mac actually has his hood on, and he is looking like he's a bit of a skulker, but he's going to pretend like he belongs at this party, just like Batman would.
That's right. This may be a time to assume your secret identity so that you can mingle amongst the populace.
Yes. So
I'm going to stroll in like I own this beach. I don't own this beach, but I kind of would like to.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, Shaw's established, so I think she just walks in. Nobody tells her not to go in anywhere unless it's really somewhere she's not supposed to be. So she just kind of like hadn't really considered that someone wouldn't let her in.
Of course.
Roshka's intentionally sneaking you in, so let's do this.
Like Shantano, they have all intention of trying to act like they belong, but the second they get onto the beach, the smells and the sounds kind of start to remind them, or at least ping something off that's similar to their life in the shadow. So for a second, it's like they're looking off into the distance and taking it in and just kind of like meandering off a bit, following the group, but not following the group.
The sea rolls back and forth. It's kind of beckoning, really. It's kind of like it's playing a sort of very solemn piece of music right now. Very much, it's kind of like it's lonely to an extent. This gentleman keeps walking toward you, and you're sort of are going to meet in the middle. As he looks around, he sort of looks over everyone. Is that... Oh, goodness, is that Mac?
Yes.
I can speak for myself. Yes, I am Mac the Husk.
Right, yes, I don't believe we've actually met, but I think I saw you at the hostel. I'm, Charles Abernathy.
Yes, Mr. Abernathy. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am the guest you need, not the guest you want.
Right. Very good, very good. Yes, it's Well, as it is, yes, we've, well, let's see, what was it? Yes. So have you been, they got you, they, got you working at one of the, working in the library yet?
Was that directed at me?
No, that was at Mac.
What Mac?
As do all First Order Goetics.
Quite. No, I remember it well. It can get a bit tedious, but I can understand. It's good for a fellow with imagination. Very good. Roshka, it has been a while. Are you doing all right? You seem a little bit lost.
I think I'm doing all right. I've recently moved houses, as a matter of fact.
Oh, yes, they were saying something about that.
Yes, I live in this neighborhood. Well, not this neighborhood. I'm not sure where we are at the moment, but in the neighborhood in which the building that door leads to is located.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yes, that neighborhood. Actually, yes, I'm not too terribly far from there. I've been recently not too far from Silver Hill, so I think it's just a bit north of there. So we're fairly close still. But I did hear there was a bit of a spot of bother. Is everything all right with your fellows?
I'm not really sure. They're not exactly speaking to me at the moment.
Oh, well, Isabel must have invited you for some reason.
Oh, fun at a party, that's me.
Quite, yes. Oh my goodness, I remember there was that. Yeah, I remember there was this. There was a time. And he starts kind of walking with you, sort of assuming you're walking in the direction of the pier. He'll kind of walk in that direction. And he says, "See, I don't know. I don't know if you lot heard about this, but there was one sort of after hours thing that we did over at that atrocious mansion that they built up that so was allowed in the guest area, I think. So it goes. There's only so far they allow other orders, members of other orders in that place. But yes, I remember this one time. It was you. We're building a tower of champagne glasses. It was absolutely delightful. Just how you managed to just place them all. So she'd worked out the maths completely. Placed them all so that you could just pour in at the top, and it was self-perpetuating. The champagne would come down, pour over into all of them, come round a track, and back up into the top glass. It was delightful.
It sounds very classy.
Oh, it was indeed. It was indeed. Who are your friends here?
Oh, well, with me today, you already know Mac, of course, as my cousin Vor.
Your Vor! I have heard so much about you.
A pleasure
Dear
to meet
lady.
you.
And he sort of bows his head, and he does he does that thing where he takes your hand, and he will come down, and he will not kiss it, but he'll do the thing where he makes the gesture.
Yeah. Yes, she's very pleased by this, and she says, "It's a pleasure to meet you. I heard so much about you from Aroshka."
Oh well. Nothing good, I hope.
Of course not. And she laughs too.
You keep walking, you're starting to pass by the volleyball net, and people are like batting this strange sort of deflated thing from one side to the other.
Aroshka isn't sure whether or not Shaw and Shantanu want to be introduced.
Shaw would wait until it was kind of not an awkward silence, but enough space that she knew she wasn't interrupting anybody. And she would be like, Shaw Gamelan, Order of Makers. And by now she would have closed her mask across, so she has a sort of hammered steel mask over her, but the sound carries through it perfectly.
I think you would know Shantanu doesn't quite seem to be paying attention.
Also, didn't somebody tell us that apostates at this party is not such a great thing. So Aroska might just let Shantano do their thing.
What is Shantano doing right now?
He's like still like part of the group, so like even if you don't introduce him, he's like technically mingling with all of you.
Okay, yes, no, I've done that before. I know what you're talking about.
He's kind of just it's just he's got that distracted look, like he's off in his head, or like they're off in their head.
Aroshka's gonna ask our friend here, who she totally knows who he is, definitely, totally, completely.
Absolutely.
Be like, so is the party always here at this beach, or does it change location sometimes?
I've been here once before, and it was certainly not at a beach. No, it does rather travel around. You see, it normally it's at normally there's no normal for it to be true. To tell the truth, anyway, you can have a party. Pretty much, that's where this party is.
I suppose it would get boring if it was the same place all the time.
I think that is rather the idea when they put it together. Rather clever. What Isabella's managed to concoct with that whole thing. She's got it so it seems like it travels to without traveling. It's I don't completely understand the principles. I think you probably got a much better grasp of it than I ever could. But it's just one of those. It's one of those things where it's, I believe the term is co-located. Is that right?
Sounds correct. Yes. Not a term I use much myself, but I've heard it before.
Right. Yes. But so yes, no, it's apparently it's in So, and he just sort of looking at everyone else. He just sort of glances back. He said, "Two places at once." After a fashion, you're really still. We're all still really in the actuality, even though we're here as well. And this is not exactly sure where this is, actually, to tell you the truth. Might be further down. And actually, he looks up and he says, judging by the color of the sun, this is actually somewhere in... this is probably somewhere in shadow.
Oh, goodness.
Well, I don't much mind if it's in shadow, as long as there's good company and good drinks.
Speaking of, are there drinks?
Oh, absolutely. They from what I understand, they've got them up there. I was just taking in the air before heading up, or heading back rather. I was in there for a little bit. They've got. I think they have every drink one could possibly ever have in there. It's I tell you, it's I'm very glad that I replaced my liver, because it's doing double duty up today, I can tell you that.
Could always get an extra one.
I really should think about that. What an idea.
How many sunrises have you been at the party this time?
I think this is just the second one for me.
See.
But then again, this was not. This was a different beach when I came through, so I'm not entirely certain. Actually, I think this was. I think when I came through earlier, this was just a bit of a ways down the shore in Indigo. Sand was a bit bluer. As best as I can recall. So, do tell me what you've been up to.
Not much. The whole moving thing has been keeping me busy, and I recently visited, the Vancian Order. They didn't talk to me. So I came back home, and I'm here now, and I recently went to the World's Fair. It's quite an interesting place. Have you been yet?
I have not yet. I've been meaning to get. I'd lost track of time. I guess I must have missed the opening. Damn. So I suppose it's going to be going for a few days yet.
Well, at
What's it
least.
like? What did you do there?
Well, there was a weird contraption that gave you visions. We did that. And then there was a menagerie of death, which we might have broken. And then we hunted lunch, which was way more excitement than I had expected lunch to be.
It's true. It was one of the best lunches I think that I've had in a while.
We also had a fortune told. It was a little hokey, though, you know.
Well, when isn't it? That sounds absolutely delightful. I can't imagine that's this death exhibit broke, did it?
Well, it was closed and everyone left in a hurry. It might be open again now. Not 100% certain what happened. Murder was involved, by which I mean no one was murdered, just murder was involved.
Murder's always involved. It's deep in the hearts of men and women and everything in between.
Yes. He seemed a nice fellow, he did.
I didn't meet him.
Who did?
Huh? Oh, murder.
Murder was a person.
Well, this person shaped.
They
Fascinating.
had eyes and a mouth.
A personification, eh? My goodness. I wonder if something like that might be worth trying to summon at some point. Well, no, that's don't want to start thinking like that. That got me into trouble last time. Yeah, and he sort of turned.
Note to look this person up later. Who is he?
He sort of turns back around as you folks are almost to the pier at this point. He turns, I think predominantly he's turning sort of to, he's including everybody, but he's speaking kind of predominantly, I think, to Vor and Shah right now. When he says this, you're, and predominantly sort of leaning toward Vor. Your cousin here got me out of more than one scrape in the past. So
She's very
quite. I don't know what I was thinking that day.
Can you tell us a story of a time when she got you out of a scrape? What's your favorite story of the two of you together?
I'm going to draw another card.
Yes, tell me about all these things we used to do together.
By the way, Arashka, like throughout this whole encounter, Vor's occasionally like when like he's looking the other way, she's looking at you like. and
She's like, I don't know anything.
I don't read the minds of my family, but I want to know who is he?
Yes.
Guess we'll find out.
Okay, so the card, as you are getting to where the party is, and this is going to serve thematically both for the story and for the party, is the Conspirator, which I think is absolutely perfect. This is the Defender of Secrets. Its meanings are upheaval, hidden agendas, and gossip. The Conspirator keeps to the shadows, whispering with others like her. How many conspirators are there? Who is involved? We never know. Those hushed whispers in the night or in the right? Oh, in the right. Tiny print, folks. These those hush whispers in the right or wrong ears can tear us all apart, bring us all crashing down. The conspirator is the defender of secrets. She guards them and the family they represent. It is her role to know the secrets and spread them as needed, whispering to just the right people at the right time. In divination, when this card is turned, only someone engaging in conspiratorial action looks at it as a good thing. For them, it means secrets are kept safe. For everyone else, this card means conspirators work or speak against you, or at the very least, that some surprising upheaval may be coming.
So since we're sneaking into a party,
Yeah, I think I know who the conspirators are. Here.
yeah, but you're also
Some of us are here to try to gather information too. So
Okay.
It's like, this is my +1. This is my +1's +1. +1. Everyone gets a +1. It's all good. It's legit.
never-ending chain of +1.
That's right.
No one said I couldn't.
Oh my god. Yes. So the. Oh my gosh. And so you ask him to tell a story, and he just sort of looks over at Arushka for a second, just sort of with a wry grin. He says, "The newspapers? Should I tell them about the newspapers?"
Yes.
I should tell them about the newspapers,
On
shouldn't I?
that one.
Oh, that was good. We, yes, a long time ago, as I recall, and I think this was not long after we met, actually. There was, this was a situation in which I was trying to sort out, basically, as sort of this summoning of current events, right? I was trying to get a town crier spirit that I'd heard about, and this is rather in the this was a bit of a public event, but there was a stage and whatnot. There was due to be I think some band or other playing there a bit later. I can't seem to remember who. Do you remember who they were?
No, no, I wasn't really paying attention to that.
No, that makes enough sense. I don't think you liked them very much, but no, this the thing. Anyway, the whole bloody thing went wrong, and I ended up summoning this massive newspaper stand with all these bales of newspapers on them, and just crash landing in the middle of this stage as the roadies are trying to set up. It was absolute chaos, and just and Roshka steps forward, and she just very quickly she just works this thing to just sort everything. 1 minute. I've got the theater manager on my ass asking me to try and undo what I've just done, and I have no clue what I've just done, so I can't possibly. And I'm just sitting there, just trying to sort of bluffing, saying, "Oh no, it's entirely part of the show, my dear fellow. It's entirely as one does." Then she comes up, she does this equation, she draws this equation in the air, and then quite suddenly all the instruments and speakers are set up, newsstand is off to the side, all the papers are very neatly distributed. It was delightful, as the manager's just sitting there yelling in my face, telling me that he'll never get all this mess cleaned up, and I just sort of looked around casually and said, "What mess?" It was delightful. If there had been any fewer seconds, had Arusha not been there, I think it would have been my head.
Goodness.
I heard about the spell. I heard it's called the condo spell.
Ah, yes, well, it's the, that it could be, that very well could be. Goodness knows, the That well, the mystery, the intricacies of Vance Magica, rather beyond our ilk, I'm afraid, Mac. But one can but hope.
Yes, well, I heard it sparked quite a bit of joy, so I guess it can't be all that bad.
Indeed. I think, yes, I think if I recall correctly, he says, and you're all ascending this set of steps leading onto this pier, and you can hear, so there are people grilling things, and there are these lights strung on either side, and as this whole conversation is continuing to carry on. And you see there are all manner of beings from Saturnine here. And mingling with just folks who look like regular humans or folks who look like humans from Shadow as well. And no one seems to notice. But there's this big building on the pier that everyone's moving toward, and where this you can now hear this thrumming music, not unlike what you first started to hear when you entered the tenement, coming from out of the thing. And it's actually, as you get closer, you realize it's violins that are somehow thrumming. It's very strange. But it's like, yes, these are stringed instruments somehow that they're managing to do this with. There's a lot of bass plucking also going on, it seems like. There's a lot of that. And as you're kind of getting closer to it, and you see there are a number of fish people here, sort of clustered about, and they're all wearing Hawaiian shirts, and they're sort of dancing in a conga line, they're fin to fin, as they enter from the end of the pier into this into this big building, where where light is pouring out and music is pouring out, and it's also kind of strange because it's hard to do a conga line to violin music, but somehow they're managing it. And as you're getting closer, and Charles is sort of commenting on how he thinks that Zeroshka was more interested in the just in observing everyone's reactions to everything at that point more than anything else, and he's still sort of going on a little bit about that theatrical performance that he almost ruined, and you get to the point that you can, there are these two big doors, big sort of French doors on the side of this building, which is odd for a building on a pier, because it looks like, this gray wood, like the rest of the, like what's the same as the rest of the pier is constructed of. And you notice that one of the fish people, there is a fish person standing outside dressed as a butler. Head of a fish, but arms and legs, just to better explain what this looks like. He's a sort of a greenish blue. His scales are kind of greenish blue. And he does have fins, kind of. They make the butler uniform a little bit weird, but sort of butler, doorman, manservant, more specifically. Gentleman's gentleman, that's another term for it. So you're kind of getting closer to this, and you see folks that are coming in and out. Jim quickly pulls up the guest list. And yeah, you see as you're kind of getting to the point, these French doors are standing open, and this fish just sort of looks at all of you and it says, "Invitations, please."
I look at Arashka.
See, Charles is kind of patting his pockets right now.
I think Aroshka's also going to reach in her pockets just to see if anything is there.
Anything materializes?
Yeah. And then, like, make that like a casual motion. Like, now just her hands are in her pockets. Like, she wasn't searching her pockets. She just was casually sticking her hands in her pockets. And she's going to walk up and say, no one said she's going to put it like this. No one said I needed an invitation.
So the funny thing is, as you stick and the fish just sort of looks at you in that way that only fish people can, sort of up and down, and says, "If you're invited, you should have one on you." And as you sort of got your hands in your pockets, you feel a piece of paper.
I pull it out then.
There is a new handout that should be visible to everyone. As you are looking upon it.
Do we all find one when we search our own pockets?
Vor's going in her pockets looking for this too.
Aroshka seems to be the only one who has one at the moment. I will say, as you're sort of all looking around, you can see some of the people inside milling about. Shah, you actually see someone you recognize. Whilst this is kind of going on. There's another maker in there.
Oh, do they see me?
They're facing in your direction, so they might, if you would like to catch their attention.
I guess I have one question before I do that, which is, like, my object of power that I have is the tool bracer, which has the power to create any small handheld object. Could I just create a duplicate of this invitation?
Ooh. I think you could. What is it again? I'm sorry.
It's, I'd have to look up the spell effect, but it's the one that you can create any small handheld object like a tool. And she,
Yes.
it's her, not her signature object, but the one object of power that she got. So it's a bracer that's all filigree on her arm, and she usually just uses it to create forging tools,
Yeah.
but she can kind of create anything that fits in her hand.
You could totally do that. You could totally make an invitation. If you,
Okay, then-
you get to look
then-
at it and you're like, yes.
Yes, bam. And then I just have one in my hand.
Well, Aroshka's gonna be like, well, fancy that. Someone gave me one anyways. And like motion to Vor and be like, this is my cousin. She's my +1.
Very good, madam. And he holds up his hand to inspect your invitation. And he looks over it very severely. Yes, that should be good. Very good. And you may enter. Others.
I hand over my invitation and say, they're my +2. I just cold stare this fish eye.
No one said we couldn't.
Okay, so let me see. The challenge for staring down a fish person, I think, since he only wants to give you a +1. So I think the challenge for staring down a severely dressed fish person is probably I think this is going to be a 6.
Oh wow. Okay.
And this is a serious party.
Could I assist in this using my interaction?
Yeah. What you got?
Oh, yes. I'll give her 1 bean from my. And I guess the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to be as intimidating as Shaw is in terms of staring at this man. The fish man.
You're just both staring.
Deep one.
Yeah, and I'll add one from my interaction pool
Okay.
as well.
All right.
And well, I guess it's intimidation, not the invitation, so I can't add sorcery.
Not unless you want to use magic, which you could.
No, it was just like, I guess I kind of used magic I used an object of power, but that was just the invitation. Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's a problem,
do I have
yeah.
anything else I can bring? Nope, that's all I got.
So you need a
So that
4
brings
or
it down
better.
to 4.
Yeah. D10.
I got
There
a
you go.
4.
All right.
Jeeves is only slightly convinced.
He's like, very well. I shall be keeping my eye on that one, he says, gesturing toward Chantineau. And at this point, Charles manages to find his invitation. And you get your invitations back, by the way.
Good.
But Charles is like, here we are. Feel free to... No, don't worry about it, my dear fellow. I can vouch for these folks.
We should have just
Yeah,
told Charles
is
to have fun. What is this possible?
He says, not at all a problem. Not at all a problem, he says. He says, known them all for years. And he kind of leans over and winks at Aroshka. And we'll... and you'll all head into the party.
I feel like as we're heading in, Chantineau kind of for a brief second he's out of their daze and he's like, "Oh, was the food talking to us?" He's just looking at the fish butler. Oh, interesting. And then they kind of just go back into their daze and just continue walking through.
Yes.
Chantineau's not doing a very good job of being less creepy.
I think Shaw takes Chantineau's arm and says, "My friend, I think that when they're in suits, we try not to refer to them as food. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that's the boundary line we set. If they're wearing suits or if they are writing poetry, I think at that point we no longer consider them food."
Yes. But if we're in the shadow, then they are definitely food.
Oh. You have a solid point. But I bet there's food we don't have to chase quite so hard.
At that point, Mac is just going to give the fish butler a friendly slap on the shoulder. He's like, "Don't worry about these guys, Mr. Sashimi. I'll take good." And he'll usher them into the party
Mac?
before they could turn things around.
Mac isn't even gonna cook the butler. Mac's just gonna straight up eat the butler.
Big bite.
Excellent. It's wonderful. So you enter into this party. And immediately, one of the things you notice is that the room you're entering cannot possibly fit inside this building that you have entered. But, doesn't bother you too much.
Through a door onto a beach. I don't feel like this really...
I mean, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
right.
actually
We're
bother
in a
you.
building.
Yeah, you're in a building that's larger than the building that you went into.
Oh, look at that. A pocket dimension within a dimension.
We're told that it was co-located.
More like tri-located at this point.
Yeah, probably.
It's locations all the way down.
It is. That's why the saying is location, location, location. That's how that works.
It means something a little bit different in actuality.
That's right. Where do you think that came from? So as you are looking around, so yeah, this is a very, very sort of ornate. If you can imagine, those very elegant older theaters, is Okay, I'm a theater person, so that's how I reference pretty much everything in reality. But it's, shall we say, this Carnegie Hall, I think, is the one I'm thinking of in particular. But I'm thinking more of not of the decorations that you have, sort of the gold, gold fixtures and what have you, as you're kind of, so this is very big sort of vaulted ceiling. There are very tall windows, kind of in the same style as sort of the French doors that you came through. And some of the people in here are in beachwear still, but then and they kind of seem to have taken they're sort of, a lot of them, it sort of spills out to between the inside and the outside, and they're having sort of a beach party at the same time as having a cocktail party. You see, again, you see sort of, there is a big fountain in the middle of this room that appears to be pouring some kind of liquid. It's probably wine. Looks kind of reddish. There are more butlers going around. Most of them are fish people. Some of them are not. With things on trays, and there are a lot of people just sort of looking around, talking and mingling. Out the windows, by the way, from where you were standing, you only see clouds, sort of gray clouds passing by. Shah, the person that recognized you, she's a woman. She's got a very sort of severe haircut. She's wearing what looks like a power suit. The business kind, not the superhero kind.
Good distinction.
Could be both.
Not the mech kind. It could be. It's that kind of power suit. It's a mech with a tie. She comes. She just sort of looks at you and just sort of a little bit distant as she comes up. You recognize her from the Order of Makers. You know that her name is Gilda Morgan. She actually mostly looks with disapproval over at Charles.
Oh.
Cool.
She's just sort of looking, and then she looks back at you and says, Shah, I see that you've got an invitation to this thing.
Of course. How are you doing, Gilda?
I am doing all right. I could be doing better if I were finished building if I could get the abacus done on time. It's not going as swimmingly as I would like. So it's.
I understand. Sometimes objects of power just go sideways, and then you have to go backwards, and isn't that just the worst?
I know. It is, and but it's something to be done. It's something to be done. Shaw, you would know that she is of the second degree.
Okay.
She's like just one above you, and she says, "But how? But what about that cage you were working on? Did you finish that?"
Oh, yes, I did. I finally finished my training. I tried it out at the fair on some things. I haven't tried it on anything severe yet, but I am still hoping to make some modifications to it in the time coming. But yes, it is working just fine.
Good. That's wonderful. That's very promising. I'm going to be very happy to see what how things go at the next presentation then.
Oh, yes, it's true. I mean, it is a bit of a crossover. It's much stronger, the magic of the Gowlers, than sort of our traditional, more structured object of power making. But I think there's really great opportunities for how we can merge those two skills together.
I think you're going to do really well.
Oh, well, thank you, Gilda.
And she just sort of looks over, kind of glances at everyone, and seems not to know how to say hello to them.
Oh, allow me to introduce This is Aroshka. and Mac the Husk, and Vermeera, and Shantano. Oh, and also Charles Abernathy it was?
Yes, quite. And Gilda says, we've met.
Oh.
Hello, Gilda.
Oh, I
Hello,
was not
Abernathy.
aware.
Perhaps, and she looks over at Shep. Perhaps we could just get a couple of drinks and
Oh, let's do that.
talk shop.
I'll be back.
As an aside, Mac is going to whisper to Vor, I bet they banged.
Vor will whisper back, 10 orbs to the first person who gets confirmation.
Does
You have a bet.
I think we probably shake really underhandedly,
Nice.
God, I love it.
I am here for this.
So as she walks away with me, I will make a point of being like, I'm so sorry that seemed upsetting to you. Is there anything I should know?
Man's a buffoon. Doesn't take anything seriously. I think I've heard. And she sort of looks over. I've heard the Goetics are thinking of kicking him out.
Oh my goodness. How horrible. What on earth for?
Look at him. You know what he. If you've spent anyone who's spent at least 5 minutes with him knows that he probably doesn't have the discipline of mind. I'm going to briefly cut over to just the rest of the party for a little bit. Charles is going to start kind of making a circuit and can introduce you to folks if you wish. And
I'm here to meet everyone at this party.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to go ahead and use one of my ephemera. So as I walk in, she sort of just kind of throws my hair back like that, and I'm gonna use. It's called Innocent Stars Crowd About the Sleepless Prince, and the effect is a swarm of beautiful butterflies appears and forms around you like an elegant living gown. And then I get to add 3 Bene to my interaction pool.
Excellent. This is the perfect place for that.
Yeah, so I'm here to party.
Yeah, and a lot of the people in here are wearing more sort of ball gown type affair. You can see as you get further in, there's a little stage, and there are a number of cellos playing themselves. They have arms and they're playing themselves right now. They're sort of half playing, half singing, basically. And there are some violinists accompanying them, but the cellos are the main. There are some cellos and a bass, and then above it all, there's this sort of in behind them. Above and behind them, you see this kind of illusion cast of sorts, or perhaps it's just a window into the ocean that you saw outside, as this sort of seems to be sort of a thematic thing that they're doing. While this is going on, you see people are just sort of broken up into these sort of little clusters of 2 or 3 people. Not a lot of huge things, but everyone's sort of whispering kind of conspiratorially to each other for the most part. There are folks kind of in and around the fountain. That is where the biggest cluster of people are. And you see that Charles is kind of heading for that. So I know that Vor is going with him. What's everyone else doing?
I feel like if Aroshka gets a chance, she's gonna pull Vor off to the side and sort of quietly whisper, did I mention the memory loss?
No. How?
Yeah, A lot. Among other things, I have no idea who this guy is. So if you get the chance to find anything out about me, please do.
I'll do my best, darling. You're welcome to tag along if you'd like.
So Mac is going to actually tag along with Abernathy, seeing as that they're both of the same order.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think Aroshka's going to follow too. She's just kind of stay in the background lest anyone ask her any questions she can't answer.
Excellent.
I think Shantano is headed in the same direction as them, but he's not following them, or they're not following them per se. They're like, you hear them say like, it's like, oh, what an interesting feeling, such a mix of joy and deception. Huh. You see him walking towards the group, and I think is the group like drinking and all that stuff?
Yeah, the big group in the center, yes. Actually, pretty much everyone at this party is drinking.
I'm planning to drink as soon as I can, preferably one of those champagne flutes that refills itself, but I'll take what I can get.
Oh yes. So you spy. Well, first of all, they're one of the butlers. They're not butlers. There's a different term for them. Maybe they are butlers. I can't remember. One of the fish people fish people. That's the term for butlers. Have this tray with, it looks like these little sort of toffee-looking things on it. Is sort of coming up and offering, but they've got toothpicks also.
Yes.
But you do spot, as you're coming closer to this bigger cluster of people, across the room, you see a tray being carried above the heads of people with 2 of those champagne flutes on them.
Can I get there and get one of them before they are taken?
So the challenge is going to be set, I think, at 4.
Okay.
To be able to make your way through the crowd elegantly and grab for one of those wonderful champagne flutes.
All right.
And what is your adventure? What are you bringing to bear against this?
Okay, that's what I'm looking at right now. So, Okay, well, balance is one of my skills, which I take to be like a little bit of like dexterity based. So would that help me in like gracefully moving as quickly as I possibly can in that direction to grab one of these?
I think so.
Okay.
If one looks at this as an obstacle course.
Yeah. And then so I also have charm as a skill. So I would like, as I go, I would like to just as politely and elegantly as I can, like as people get in my way, be like, "Oh, pardon me, dear, please, can you step to the side? Oh, your dress is lovely," and just like slowly charm my way through the crowd, like managing to shift everyone. It's like watching water part as I like manage to talk everyone out of my way.
Nice. So, what's your venture on this? How many points you're bringing up?
So I have charm is a level 1 skill for me, and balance is level 1 as well.
Okay, so that's 2. So it'll bring you down to a 2 or better.
Okay. That's a 3.
There you go. All right. So you sort of keep dodging, bobbing and weaving, going past. You bolt past Charles and get through as you are just sort of very elegantly getting through, mingling with the crowd and just stepping over people, over the smaller people and around the bigger people, and you think that the others are kind of getting to watch this, and the band actually picks up its pace as this starts happening a little bit. And the waves start going fast. The illusion of the waves starts going faster, and as it gets a little bit Django Reinhardt-y in here, you start to sort of hop your way through. You finally make a quick and elegant dive over over a person that is basically a I want to say is a mailbox, and you reach forward just as the tray is being lowered down and snatch one off of it.
I feel like I'm probably also trailing butterflies the whole way.
You are. They're totally the stream of butterflies coming out behind you, and as you grab it, another hand reaches up and grabs the other, and you look down and you see one of the you see someone who looks like she's rather the center of attention here, and actually does look kind of familiar to you.
Is this some doll in the menagerie?
This could actually be one of the this looks like one of the people who was there at the menagerie earlier.
So I'll pick up the glass as she picks up the other one, and I'll say, I told you I was going to get one of these for myself.
Oh, right you are. And she clinks with you. I'm going to show everyone what she looks like. Or at least everyone who's playing the game, unfortunately.
Oh man, I love her.
Okay. Yep. And I'm going to cut at that point over to further back in the crowd, as this is going on. Charles is sort of guiding folks in toward the center of this big crowd, and as he does so, he sort of is nodding at. He nods over to an octopus, that's just kind of there, and it's like. Says, Kayam, good to see you made it, and is continuing to sort of forage into the interior. Sort of pale pink octopus-looking thing, with insect wings, keeping it just above the ground, and just sort of is kind of fluttering around, and just sort of. Raises a little champagne glass to Shantano as you pass, and says, I think I agree with you. It is rather strange in here.
Indeed. And I think you'll notice as Shantano gets closer to the group that they are slowly adopting that that side-to-side sway of people who've been drinking. The closer he gets, the more he sways exactly the same as they are, and they start kind of like mingling around the outside of the group, laughing when they laugh, then sometimes laughing when they say mundane things, I guess because they're using the their skills of seeing through deception and understanding people's motives at the same time. So they're laughing at the lies being told and the jokes being told. Honestly, having a good time because of it's interesting seeing why people are lying.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. So everyone here is having an opportunity to mingle with some people. As you get further into the group, those of you sort of following Charles will be introduced to. He sort of nods to a sort of a gaunt woman. He nods to this kind of. This older lady that just kind of also looks around the same age as him. Just sort of got streaks of gray in her hair, and she gets him. Oh, you wandered away, I see. And he says, "Oh yes, my dear lady. I terribly sorry. This is Soraya." And she says, well, yes, are we going to finish our conversation or not? You were telling me about, she just sort of glances over at this woman that is like got a lot of attention around her. A lot of the other partygoers are around her, and Vor is actually right next to her right now. Oh, Isabella, yes, oh, that's right. We were going to be talking about that a little bit. Yes, I can. We can. I was telling about some of the old times. Actually, Isabella at this point sort of glances up and looks over, and she says, "Aroshka." And everyone goes quiet for a moment. Do come here, darling.
Of course. She it's like, oh god, everyone's looking at me.
Yeah, the cellos have sort of gone, stopped for a second. That's fine. Bring your friends if you want. Does anyone go with Aroshka, or do you let Aroshka walk by herself over to Isabella and Vor?
I'm already there, so I'll just sort of
continue being there.
Mac will accompany her, maybe walking ahead of her and not so subtly pushing people aside.
God away.
Just sort of Isabella just sort of looks
with
at
his
that.
cowl on, and he's just step aside, move it along.
Right.
Out of the way, citizen.
Citizen.
And Abernathy stays talking to Soraya. It looks like he can't get away from her, so he's like, and they start talking a little more quietly again. And as you get over there, people start talking again a little bit. And Isabella is like, so, I do know you.
So it would seem.
I hear, and she's just sort of looking around, I hear you were expelled.
Possibly.
Well, were you or weren't you?
I don't know. No one will talk to me. So that might be a yes.
Huh. Oh, goodness. Well, they should at least tell you these things.
Well, they might have. I've forgotten a few things since before I came back from Shadow.
It's all right, darling. We all have. And she reaches over and she pats your shoulder. She says, "Here, if you got a drink yet, let me get you a drink." And she will raise her hand and just sort of gesture, and a butler materializes next to her, and says, "Yes, get us a now. Do you still like prawn cocktails?"
Maybe. Get me one and we'll find out.
We'll get one of those and we'll find out. Two of those, and she, she's holding the champagne flute, so she sort of gestures to Mac. Beer?
Ice water, please. My throat's feeling a little parched.
Oh, well, you've got to be a thrill at these places. Life of the party, huh? Ice water, please. And
at the same time, Mac will lean over and whisper to Roshka, "You really need to learn how to fake it before you make it."
Behind Roshka's back, I will look at Mac and be like,
Well, these days I mostly talk to things. They're not
that's
as difficult to understand as people.
Now that's new. Huh.
is it?
Well, I don't remember it, but, of course. Shadow. That's interesting, though. I don't remember. No, I don't remember that you had that ability before. What happened to you in Shadow?
That's an excellent question. All I remember is I was an animal trainer, and she always wears like it's her from when she was in Shadow. She has like a dog training whistle, like one of those shiny long silver ones. And she's like, I was an animal trainer, and then I was here. Then everybody wouldn't talk to me, and I couldn't remember anything. So I don't know.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy for me. I was trying to, I was doing something with, in a bookstore, I think. It is just fascinating. I don't think, I haven't heard a lot directly. I'm second degree these days. But I hadn't heard, from what I have heard, the little I have heard, it seemed very unfair for them to just be done with you.
Yes, it certainly felt that way.
I do have, it's just one of those things where, they can't, just because they're having to deal with different ways, people using their imaginations, it doesn't make sense to me that that's something that should be considered a problem,
I agree completely, but apparently they don't agree with me. I assume not anyways. I went there, and they wouldn't even let me in the door, so...
Huh. I have something I'd like to talk to you about, if you have a moment.
These days I have nothing but time.
Yeah, just curious. And as she sort of turns, she looks at Vor and Mac, and she says, do you mind if I leave you in the very capable hands of my friends here? For just a little bit?
Not at all, although I would like to speak to you myself later, if you don't mind.
Oh, of course. We'll talk in just a little bit. I just need to borrow your cousin for a little bit.
Borrow away.
And across the crowd, as Isabella and Arushka retreat a bit into a nook, the octopus-looking person, Kayam, will just sort of turn to Shantanu and say, it's getting special. Isabella must want something really badly. Just she only takes people into private if there's something dire going on.
Oh. So she doesn't do that often? Is it usually information worth knowing if you're not privy to it?
What isn't these days?
Interesting.
I'm going to bring us back to Shah for a moment. Shah, who's talking to Gilda. You've kind of been over just sort of talking shop for a little while. And you're closer to one of the windows at this point, and Gilda will just sort of, as you've been talking about the different methods of makery and what have you, and she says, "So I'd heard something strange is happening with that with that foreman fellow that your next door neighbor?
Oh, yes, the foreman. What strange thing have you heard? I mean, other than his usual strangeness.
Oh, I don't like. Well, I don't like spreading rumors that they're unsubstantiated, that kind of thing. But I'm a little concerned. Just that it seems like apparently he's remembered something, and that's someone apparently. We have a mutual friend, and they told me that he was starting to have memories that are really bothering him, and that he's like trying all kinds of creative outlets to kind of either get rid of it or just deal with it, and it's really starting to bring him down. And I've heard that apparently that I'm worried if that kind of thing has gotten reflected in the building. Has that place looked at all weird or lopsided or anything to you recently?
Well, I mean, it never looks particularly well crafted, I would say. But I don't think I've noticed anything tremendously off. Have I noticed anything tremendously off? Like,
the way that building works, it's off to begin with, kind of.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to.
The last time that we talked about my leaving, we said that it was all very quiet.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of shifting that was happening.
Yeah, that was unusual.
Actually, I would say, if anything, it's been more stable. There have been a lot of periods of time where nothing is moving much at all.
I don't know if that sounds right either, from what I've heard of that place. I mean, it's been a little while since I've been in that part of town, but isn't it normally moving around more?
Yeah, yes. But that doesn't sound like off balance, unless he's planning something. When you say he's remembered things, is he having shadow memories, or is he having pre-shadow memories?
They didn't know, but if I had to guess, which I do not like doing, you know that, but if I had to guess, I would say maybe pre-shadow. Maybe.
Oh,
he started writing poetry, apparently. I don't know. I don't know what it means.
Goodness. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe poetry is good. Poetry is an outlet that seems more pleasing to me than doing something that might topple a tower on top of my front door.
Of course, obviously. I mean, she's just sort of, and she stops as she's looking out the window.
I look out the window.
Was that always there? No, it wasn't, was it? Out the window, you see what looks kind of like, looks like an office building, kind of, really. No. More of a, yeah. Kind of a shopping sort of strip mall type area, on top of which are offices. Just sort of out there in the mist. Out the window are clouds, pretty much. As though this place is way high up somewhere.
Oh. I guess we've moved on?
I don't know. Oh, goodness. And she actually finally gets I hadn't looked out the window yet. We're really high up. And I think we're moving. We're definitely moving. But I mean, I think it's all right. It should be all right, right? I mean, yeah.
I mean, the party moves, right?
It does. Yes, it does. And I guess that's another one?
I don't know.
You see, there are sort of streamers kind of pinned to it. It's a little weird, but that's about it. And it's sort of, and that building is sort of drifting. It's actually going kind of like it's kind of moving to the left and up, sort of a little bit diagonally. That's unusual.
Gilda, to be honest, I've never been to the party before. Do you have to change buildings before the other one goes away?
No. I mean, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I've only been here like once before, but I haven't really looked out the windows, so that I probably am just overreacting. I think it is strange.
Well,
I wonder what it means.
I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out. Maybe some of the other people know. Maybe we should go check back in.
That would be a good idea.
Thank you for the information on the foreman.
Certainly,
I appreciate
absolutely.
it. I'm gonna go find my other acquaintances.
All right, certainly. That's fine.
Thank you. I hope to see you again soon.
Sure. No, yeah. Well,
Good luck with your project.
Yeah, I gotta get back to that.
I'm sure that
Things I'm
it'll
done
come
here.
together for you.
Thank you.
And then I'm gonna go look for the group. Are they still around? Isabella? Isabella?
So Isabella's actually nowhere to be seen right at this moment. But you probably spot Shantano first, as they're on the outskirts of this big crowd at the center. You see that closer to the middle of the crowd, you see Mac and Vor, who seem to be having a chat with this sort of very, very, very thin woman.
I'll head to Chateauneuf and say, hello, did you notice that we're not at the beach anymore?
Are we?
We are
We're
very
somewhere
high
different.
Oh, we're
Very-
not. Says the
Oh.
says the octopus next to him. And Kayam turns and sort of starts flitting over toward the window.
up. Did you miss your stop?
I don't know. I just get off where I get off. Any way I can. Turns and just sort of drifts over to the window.
Phrasing.
There's an octopus like that at every party.
Yeah, Sean, in your few minutes where Kayam kind of is a fan of jokes like that, apparently.
Like talking to Shaw, I was like, "Did you notice the woman take Oroshka away?"
No, I was talking to Gilda and looking out the windows.
Oh.
What woman? Is she okay?
I don't know. I was going to ask Kayam if he wanted to join me and see if we could listen in. Possibly for information. Wanted to see if there would be more deception. Apparently these are very secretive meetings.
No. Do you have a tool for listening?
I just walk around.
No. She looks a little disappointed.
Do you have specialty tools for that?
Not for listening, no.
Oh.
No, not yet. That's a very good idea, though. Could just... She pulls out a notebook and starts sketching, sort of like a little earpiece thing. Like you can see her sketching her collar and things that come up.
I feel like that reminds me of being able to hear through sound. Something to do with the shadow. What an odd memory.
Hear through sound.
Yes. On the water.
Oh.
Well, would you be interested in possibly seeing what's going on. Because I know I would.
Yes. She closes the sketchbook, puts it back in her pants pocket.
Wonderful. I guess we'll try and walk towards where Isabella took Aroshka.
Okay. So you're heading in that direction, getting ready to see about listening in. Before you do that, I want to come back to Mac and Devore for a moment. So you've been talking with this woman, this sort of near gaunt woman. She's wearing kind of a big translucent jellyfish over the top half of her body.
I love your jellyfish.
Oh, yeah. Well, we belong to each other more than anything else, really. But thank you. It's, work hazard. These things happen.
What do you do?
Well, I travel quite a bit. I go out and try to get to as many different places as I can under the suns, and then I write a travelogue about it.
That sounds like a very exciting life. Are your travelogues well received?
Oh, they're doing all right. They're doing. They've in recent years, there's been a bit of an upswing as people are trying to remember things.
What did you say your name was?
Oh, sorry, I don't think I did. I'm Araya.
Araya, I'm Vormera. Nice to meet you.
I think that you have actually heard of her.
Okay.
She's actually pretty, or at least you've heard her name, because she is actually her travelogues are actually pretty well known. They sell really well, and you live kind of in the tourist district, so you realize that's where you see her name. Her name is like up on a billboard next to next to the tourist trap.
She probably sells her books in the World Market near my house too.
Yeah. So they've got them there, and so it's plastered all over the place. But this is the first time you've actually seen her.
Gotcha. Yes, I've seen several of your books on sale not far from my house. They look very fascinating. The illustrations on the covers are just beautiful.
It's always a fight to try to get. Thank you for saying so. It's always a bit of a battle trying to get a cover that actually matches what you're talking about in the book. But yeah, that's that's editors for you. That's all. Yeah.
So what brings you here tonight?
Oh, well, I have not been here in a long time, and so I just wanted to see how it's going nowadays. Kind of do an update. I'm gonna probably do a piece on it.
I'm sure that will be a very exciting entry.
It's been pretty exciting so far, I guess. I mean, it is kind of hard to break out of one sort of your little group and talk to the other groups, though. The people here are a little bit resistant to that, I've noticed.
So do you know most of the people here at the party, or just a smaller group?
Some of them. Some of hi, yeah, hi. I mean, I know Charles that you came in with, but everybody knows Charles.
I wanted to ask you. I'm not sure, and I'll lean in very close and conspiratorially, and I'll be like, is there a history between Charles and that maker Gilda? They seem that she seemed very displeased to see him when we came in. There has to be some juicy gossip there.
I don't know if I should say.
I promise I won't tell a soul.
So I think this is going to be a... I'm going to call this a difficulty of 4.
A 4?
A challenge of 4. Normally, she's actually a bit of a higher level than that, but I think she's kind of a little off guard here, and there's some other factors that are kind of inhibiting her. Those factors being called alcohol, and so it's going to be 4 or better. And do you want to bring anything to bear on this?
Yeah, so 2 things. So I do have my charm still, my level 1 of charm. So I'm giving her like the wink and like the full treatment, glamorous smile, butterflies. And actually, I will go ahead and use one of those bene from my butterfly dress.
All right, cool.
So 2. No! I'm gonna end the night owing Mac money.
She says, I shouldn't say. I'm sorry. I don't like to talk about people behind their backs too much, you know?
No, I mean they're sort of facing us. I mean, that's not behind their back.
Okay, how about this? I will talk to Charles and see if I can get him to tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be fine. I love a good story. I'm interested in I don't know many of the people here, so I'm trying to get a sense of who knows who and who's aligned with who.
That's understandable. It's kind of hard to say these days, and you notice that her. Wait, where is it? There it is. You notice that her jellyfish seems very interested in the conversation, actually, right now, and kind of quivers with a little bit of disappointment when she doesn't say anything.
Okay, since I noticed this, I'll say, does your jellyfish have a name?
Well, that's the thing. We are Oriah.
Oh.
It was neither of our names before. It's our name now.
Oh. Well, it's a pleasure to meet both of you then. Or all of you.
Yeah, they're pleased to meet you too. It was an accident a few years ago. These things happen, you know.
Of course.
I assume, and she says, noticing Mac's badge, you might know more about what it's like kind of to sort of share a very personal space with another being, right? She says, pointing to Mac.
I'm sorry, what did she say again?
Sorry. You must know what it's having to share a very personal space with another being.
Yes, that is definitely true. And he's going to look very suspicious that she would know that about him off the top of her head, unless she just caught the emblem on his...
Yeah, she's pointing at your emblem when she says it, so that's kind of...
Oh. Okay. Yes, well, it's a living.
Well, must be interesting doing that voluntarily. What brought you to want to do it?
I owed the Church of Illuminism a favor.
Oh my goodness. Huh. We should talk sometime. I'm not hugely influential with them, but they do some of them do like my work, and I've met some of them, and well, just going to be kind of curious as to what things are kind of like inside there. Because just sort of, philosophically, there are certain similarities to my situation, and I was just curious.
Seeking enlightenment is always a good thing.
I certainly like to think so. And I think I'm going to now cut over once more, as Isabella has led Aroshka into this nook. Shaw and Shantanu are trying to listen in. What do you? Before we have this conversation, I just need to know what Shaw and Shantanu are trying to do to listen in.
Well, Shantanu in particular is listening for any lies that he hears. He coming from like what's been going on around the party. They want to feel the reasons between the lies and the lies between, if you can tell what's closer to the truth.
Okay. Are you tapping into an ability, a particular ability?
I have 2 skills, seeing through deception and understanding people's motives.
Okay. And Shaw, is there anything in particular you're doing?
I think that I went along with Shantanu, but I have this very different idea about what it is that we're doing. Like, Shantanu is listening for secrets, and Shaw's like, all she's heard is that some woman took Aroshka away, and so she's kind of like looking for like rooms that might be guarded, or some sign of trouble, or listening for sounds of struggle or anything, like any signs of Aroshka. I think she's much more like on a kind of military reconnaissance listening level.
Okay. So I think I don't think I'm going to actually have you roll for this. I think you'll just find a sort of a position, and you're going to hear most of this conversation. And so Isabella sort of pulls you into a side room and into this kind of a sort of draped off area. There are these sort of red curtains on either side of you in sort of this nook in the back. And she just sort of takes your arm for a second. You don't remember me, do you?
I don't remember much of anyone, for what that's worth.
No, it's all right. I don't know. I don't know really how to feel about it, because I don't know how to feel about much of anything. And I guess I was just wondering, have you been feeling things?
What kind of things?
Anything? Like regular emotions? Has it changed for you since, you were out of the order?
I have definitely felt a lot of emotions lately. Most of them bad ones, but many emotions, as I'm sure Shantanu would tell you.
See, there's this thing that I don't know if you remember or not, but sort of part of the training kind of makes you look at everything clinically. And for some of us, I feel like we kind of forget how to feel things. Kind of constantly analyzing everything. We don't really We don't really feel the way everybody else does. And I was wondering if you had any insight into what that difference is like for you.
No, I'm not sure I remember enough to make a comparison. Also, based on Charles's description of how I used to act, I get the impression it's very different.
I do kind of remember you being a little different, yeah. I mean, you're not that different. As she sort of exhales and sort of as she's sighing, these little tiny puffs of purple smoke come out of some of the holes in her skin. So you get this sort of a hint of lavender, smell of lavender. And she says, if you remember at some point, would you be willing to talk about it with me again?
Certainly. I mean, I guess I know where to find you now.
Well, I'm here a lot, yeah, but I just... I mean, I love working with Vance and all that, but I kind of wonder, you know? I kind of wonder sometimes if we're going about it the right way. Don't tell anybody that I said that. By the way, I've had too much of this. Please. I don't know why, but I feel like I can trust you.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
I haven't had the feeling about anybody lately. It's crazy, right?
Yeah?
Maybe. Thank you. And she just sort of will again sort of clasp your arm for a second and say, let me go and see if I can get you let's see if those drinks are ready. I can get you something proper. Might be able to get you one of these. These are really good. And I think as you're heading out, unless anyone has anything immediately they want to leap in and make sure that they're able to deal with this week, I think we're going to draw things to a close.
Did Shantano notice any lies?
Not a single one.
How boring.
Excellent. So, this party is actually it's a thing. It goes all over the place. You can come and go as you please. You've already gotten in, so you can return. You can leave and return, and you belong here because you've been here. You have always been here in a way. But we'll perhaps deal more with that next time. We're going to go around and ask folks as we're wrapping up here to... there's more actually for the party I think I'd like to do next week, but again, like I said, you can come and go. But I think we're going to go around and ask folks to say where they can find you and any thoughts about this session. And once again, it'll be reverse order, so we will start with Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle, and I am at RideRacontor on Twitter, at Thali Oada on Instagram. You can follow me for lots of fun, nerdy stuff. I love this party very much, and I feel like Vor is going to be spending a lot of time here in the sessions and weeks and months and game to come. Perhaps inviting some of these people to come back to her house even. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, and now let us move on to Anino.
I am Anino. You can find me most frequently on Twitter at Anino Gaming. So I thought it was just funny that I could play the effects of my character from the side session here. And just the fact that more people than I thought knew of us from our past is certainly a very maddeningly thing to happen, which also had been continuing from our side session. So trying to unravel all of that and survive is going to be interesting.
Indeed. And Arras.
Hello, I'm Arras or Animus Panthera. I am most often found on Twitter. Tomorrow I will be on the Star Wars on Encounter Roleplay. We're actually playing Star Wars this time. And yeah, that's where you can find me. I won't be here next week though because my mother is in town. I'll be hanging out with her instead.
Ah, indeed. Well, family things does happen. Let us move on to Wilde.
Yes, hi. I am Wilde Engineer. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter under Wilde Engineer. On this Tuesday, actually, on Encounter Roleplay, is our finale for a D&D game. Yeah, I think Shantano really liked this party. I'm just hoping he doesn't make any faux pas that get him kicked out. Probably again. I'm pretty sure it's happened before.
One never knows. And now, once again, I'm having a senior moment. I'm sorry, Arras, did I let you give any thoughts about this session?
Oh, I just forgot to say anything. Yeah, Roshka's definitely like, oh wow, that was really embarrassing, and a whole bunch of people saw me and didn't look very happy about it. And
well, these are the moments that happen to us, unfortunately. I was just delighted watching everything going on with all these interactions. Let us move on finally to Djinnaya.
Hello, my name is Djinnaya. I make art and play good games with nice people. And you can find me on Twitter at Djinnaya. You can find me pretty much anywhere as Djinnaya, as long as you can spell it. This Wednesday, I will be on Encounter Roleplay, doing the final session of Nemedic's Little Busters, a Things from the Flood, not Tales from the Loop game. And then next Saturday, I will be on Anarcis's channel playing our final game of Ryutama, and then I will be back here. And I enjoyed the party. I'm enjoying watching these kind of like pieces start to fit together. That's really neat. And I'm really excited to see what bizarre places the party shows up. I just have a feeling. I'm excited about that.
Excellent. Very cool. Well, back to me. I really enjoyed this session. I liked seeing everyone's interactions and reactions to the stuff that's gearing up. And I'm actually very excited to see what when this culminates. Hopefully when this culminates next session, and we kind of see the other side of things, as it were. So this will be very cool. As for me, I am Jim Ryan. You can find me here at I'm at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. Tomorrow, The one shot we are doing is, which we do one shots on Sundays, that'll be Avarice tomorrow. That is a game kind of based on the Quiet Year and Dread and Dwarf Fortress all thrown together to create a delightful subterranean calamity. We're all going to be controlling clans of dwarves and telling a story about how disaster befalls them. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Typically, let's see, on midweek we have campaigns. This Thursday we have the conclusion of our campaign of Bad Streets, a 1970s cop show powered by the apocalypse. Usually on the weekends I do video games, if at all possible. But this Friday, and again on most Fridays, I am over on Off the Table in the evenings, playing in their 1890s Urban Shadows campaign. So you can catch me there. And then, of course, back around Saturday, 1 week from today, we'll have more of this. And we shall see where some of these threads have been leading. I think we're going to finally start seeing some of that. So I understand, for anyone who may be concerned, yes, this is a slow burn campaign, and I do tend to specialize in that. But things are starting to happen. Believe me, it's coming. But sign-ups also are still open right now for next month's short campaign, which is going to be Amber Diceless. That's a game that I cut my teeth GMing years ago, back in the 90s. It is, I think, going to be very cool. And we've already got some folks signing up. Schedule's flexible. Very much about the politics among the most powerful beings in the universe who can shape reality itself. So if there's any interest in that, feel free to click on the sign up button below or go to the website and click on game sign up, and it's there. As always, beginners are welcome. Well, when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid over to Scraticus. They've been doing I think it was like an 18-hour stream, I think they said. Wilde was running a game on that earlier today, and they're still at it. So I'm going to go ahead and send a raid over there. Feel free to hang out if you like, to go and say hello to them. And that'll be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you next week. Farewell.